going to be vindicated in the 24 Democratic convention.
I wonder if I could sit in a room with Shirley Chisholm, with Rosa Parks, with Coretta Scott King. What would they say about what's happening today?
The civil rights movement has been a key part of organizing the agenda, not just of the Democratic Party, but of democracy.
This is the hope that runs through Kamala Harris's leadership, one where hope, change, and freedom are the drumline of our democracy.
I stand before you today as a candidate for the Democratic nomination for the presidency of the United States of America.
I stand before you today to proudly announce I am now officially the Democratic nominee, President of the United States.
We must never surrender. America will get better. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive.
Please welcome founder and president of the Rainbow Push Coalition, Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Democrats, our first order of business is adopting an up-to-date convention agenda. When the Convention Rules Committee met, everyone was working on updating plans based on the significant changes that had just occurred. When the committee approved an agenda, it was a work in progress that members knew would need to be revised accordingly. We now have an agenda for the next 4 days. The agenda is included in the Standing Committee report booklet emailed to each convention participant. In addition to fantastic speakers and performers, tonight's agenda provides for adopting the up-to-date convention agenda, hearing the Credentials Committee report, hearing the Rules Committee report, and considering a resolution as recommended by the committee, hearing the Platform Committee report and considering our national platform as recommended by the Platform Committee, and holding a confirmatory and ceremonial vote for our vice presidential nominee. Tuesday includes a ceremonial roll call for the presidential nominee. Wednesday, we'll hear ceremonial nominating speeches for our vice presidential nominee, and Governor Walz will make his acceptance speech. And on Thursday, my friends, we'll hear a ceremonial nominating speech for our presidential nominee, and Vice President Harris will make her acceptance speech. So now, delegates, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the up-to-date agenda. Is there a second? All in favor of approving the convention agenda, please say aye. All opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Are we going to the next one?
Please welcome Credentials Committee co-chairs, Secretary Marcia Fudge and James Roosevelt Jr.
Greetings, my friends. It is an honor to have served as co-chair along my friend, Jim Roosevelt. Pursuant to the call, the Credentials Committee met and adopted a resolution to credential the delegates and alternates to the 2024 National Convention. I am pleased to report that there were no credentials issues to be decided by the committee. Their work allowed us to nominate two champions for democracy and freedom, Vice President Harris and Governor Walz.
Our delegate selection process is designed to ensure every voice is heard and every vision is heard, and our delegates accurately represent their electorates. Diversity is our party's strength. And I'm so proud to see the wonderful representation of our party and democracy here today. I am pleased to share that the Credentials Committee report was adopted and all delegates have been fully credentialed. In memory of Marvin Turner, we are going to have a great convention and we are going to win. Thank you.
Please welcome Rules Committee co-chair, Bishop Leah Daughtry.
Hello, Democrats. It was my honor to serve as co-chair of the Convention Rules Committee alongside my friend, Governor Tim Walz. Governor Walz is a little occupied this evening, but it's good to know that serving as co-chair of the Rules Committee is a ladder for promotion. The Rules Committee adopted the procedural rules of the convention on July 24th. They are based on long-standing processes governing our convention and ensured that we met all ballot access deadlines. The rules established the virtual nominating process for the party's nominees and set the stage for in-person at the convention to adopt our platform and resolutions recommended by the Rules Committee, as well as to cast celebratory votes on our nominees and hear their acceptance speeches. Under the Rules Committee authority, the Rules Committee is recommending for your approval one resolution. Contained in the committee's report, the resolution supports the current practice regarding automatic delegates, as well as other reforms to make our party stronger. The co-chairs are pleased to move the adoption of this resolution on behalf of the Rules Committee.
Thank you, Bishop Daughtry. The Rules Committee has moved the approval of the resolution. Is there a second? We have a second. I will now call for a voice vote on approving the resolution as recommended by the Rules Committee. All those in favor of the committee's recommendation to approve the unity resolution say aye. All opposed say nay. I'm pleased to report for the record that with a majority of delegates having voted in the affirmative, the resolution has been approved. My thanks to our Rules Committee co-chairs and members for your efforts to build a transparent and inclusive party. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Please welcome Platform Committee co-chairs Mayor Mitch Landrieu and Mayor Regina Romero.
Hello, delegates. It is my pleasure to join Co-Chair Romero to present the national platform as recommended for approval by the committee. Our platform is grounded in our democratic values of hope, of progress, and love of our country. It makes a strong statement about the historic work that President Biden and Vice President Harris have accomplished hand in hand, and it presents a bold vision for our future. Kamala Harris will protect reproductive freedoms. Donald Trump will rip them away. Kamala Harris will lower costs for Americans, expand access to affordable health care, protect and strengthen Social Security and Medicare. Donald Trump will cut taxes for billionaires and big corporations, and he will pay for it by putting health care and Social Security on the chopping block. Kamala Harris is going to defend our democracy. Donald Trump is going to undermine it. The choice before us is clear, and the stakes could not be higher.
Buenas noches, demócratas. Mayor Landrieu, it was a pleasure to serve as your co-chair. I also want to recognize Louisa Terrell and the drafting subcommittee for their work. This platform was passed by the Platform Committee on July 16, prior to the president passing the torch in an act of love and patriotism. And it's the product of a comprehensive process to engage with leaders from all corners of our winning coalition. Hundreds of submissions, hours upon hours of hearing and testimonies, countless conversations with community leaders and grassroots Democrats. All were essential to producing a forward-looking vision for our party that echoes the voices of all. Vice President Harris is now carrying the torch. And she and Governor Walz are committed to delivering results for the American people. Then you have Donald Trump. His extreme agenda is working against everyday Americans. He is fighting for big oil, big pharma, big banks, but most of all, my fellow Democrats, he is fighting for himself. This November, we need to keep Democrats in office and elect Kamala Harris and Tim Walz so we can implement an agenda that works for everyone. Cuando luchamos, ganamos. And with that, on behalf of the Platform Committee, we are pleased to move the adoption of the 2024 Democratic National Platform.
Thank you. The co-chairs have moved the approval of the national platform. Is there a second? We have a second. I will now call for a voice vote to approve the platform as recommended by the Platform Committee. All those in favor of approving the platform, please say aye. All opposed say no. Co-chairs, I am pleased to report for the record that with a majority of the delegates having voted in the affirmative, the platform has been adopted. Once again, thank you to our platform committee co-chairs and members, as well as the platform drafting committee and its chair, Louisa Terrell.
When Kamala Harris set out to find her vice president just 1 month ago, she was looking for someone who believes in our democracy, who works hard for the American people, and has an endless supply of hope for our future. She found that in Vice President Tim Walz. Come on, give it up for Vice. Give it up. On August 6th, the Democratic Party officially nominated Governor Walz as our vice presidential candidate. While Governor Walz's nomination has already been certified, we couldn't miss the opportunities to celebrate this future vice president's integrity, commitment, decency, and service to our nation. The chair will entertain a motion to ceremonially confirm Governor Walz's selection as the Democratic Party's vice presidential nominee. We have a motion. Is there a second? We have a second. We will now have a voice vote on the motion to ceremonially confirm our vice presidential nominee. All in favor of the motion, please proudly. All opposed? The ayes have it. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled to proudly reaffirm Tim Walz as a Democratic nominee for vice president. Yes, USA. Pursuant to our convention rules, Governor Walz has been invited to make an acceptance speech, which he will deliver on Wednesday, August 21st. Thank you, my friends. Delegates, please welcome to the stage co-chair Peggy Flanagan to resume chairing our convention.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, good evening, and welcome to the first night of the Democratic National Convention. I'm Peggy Flanagan, Lieutenant Governor of Minnesota, and I am thrilled to be here in Chicago with Democrats from across the country to rally around Kamala Harris and Tim Walz and their vision for America. It's been 8 years since we last came together as a party, and I can feel the excitement in this arena. It's filled with energy and with joy. Our theme tonight is for the people. We'll hear from union leaders, civil rights advocates, and our fellow citizens. And we'll hear from our president, Joe Biden, who has been a champion for the people for his entire life. My name in the Ojibwe language is Gigi Wewadam Ukwe, or in English, speaks with a clear and loud voice, woman. I'm a member of the White Earth Nation, and my family is the Wolf Clan. And the role of our clan is to ensure that we never leave anyone behind. That's why I am supporting Kamala Harris and Tim Walz to be the next president and vice president of the United States. For almost 6 years, I've side by side with Governor Walz. I've seen how hard he's worked for Minnesota to be the best place for kids to grow up. He does it all with a big heart, a buffalo plaid jacket, and a bottomless bag of snacks. Nutter Butters, cheese curds, and Diet Dew. Every time we meet, he brings something for me because he's always got my back. And when he's vice president, he will always have yours. He and Kamala Harris have spent their lives fighting for you, for your family, for your future. So whether you're a lifelong Democrat or just tuning in, thank you for being part of this evening. 4 years ago, the COVID pandemic upended our lives. My brother Ron was the second person to die of COVID in the state of Tennessee. We couldn't see him. We couldn't have a memorial. And millions of American families went through the same thing. Our communities were suffering. Our economy was struggling. And Donald Trump was playing games. Our country was brought to the brink by his failure to respond. But the Biden-Harris administration stepped in with quick and decisive action. They contained the virus, created millions of jobs, and invested in our nation's future. Under their leadership, America began to heal.
Are there words about a pandemic at this point?
No, we're not at all. We have it totally under control. We think we have it very well under control. We pretty much shut it. A lot of people think that goes away in April. With the heat, we're in very good shape. Because of all we've done, the risk to the American people remains very low. View this the same as the flu. It's going to disappear. One day, it's like a miracle. It will disappear. We all together have done a very good job.
We think the death will be at a very low number.
I see the disinfectant. Is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? I'm taking it. Hydroxychloroquine.
When?
Right now, yeah. You can test too much. You do know that.
Who says that?
Oh, just read the manuals, read the books.
Manual?
Read the books.
Manual?
I think it's under control. I'll tell you what.
How? 1,000 Americans are dying a day.
They are dying. They are dying. That's true. It is what it is.
Help is on the way, and it is long overdue.
The $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill to get stimulus aid directly to struggling Americans.
Our plan is about what we need to do around a national strategy for contact tracing, for testing, for administration of the vaccine, and making sure that it will be free for all.
Tonight, the U.S. is nearing a major milestone in the fight against the coronavirus. The U.S. is about to deliver the 200 million COVID shots since President Biden took office, beating his target by about a week. Millions of American students returned to school earlier this month after more than a year of remote learning. Sports venues are filling up and concerts are getting scheduled.
I'm feeling great. Business is definitely ramped up.
I'm so thankful.
To be able to serve our customers again after all this, it's a blessing.
Illinois Representative Lauren Underwood.
COVID was the worst public health crisis in a century. Donald Trump failed us. But Joe Biden and Kamala Harris got it under control. Donald Trump said, "It is what it is." Joe Biden and Kamala Harris said help is on the way. Democrats in Congress tried to lower the cost of health care. Donald Trump tried to take our health care away. We tried to expand Social Security and Medicare. Donald Trump tried to cut them year after year after year. He took the COVID crisis and turned it into a catastrophe. We can never let him be our president again. As a registered nurse, I care deeply about making health care more affordable. As someone with a pre-existing condition, I am determined to protect the people who are most at risk. And as the youngest Black woman ever elected to Congress, I am painfully aware that Black women, especially pregnant women and new moms, were more likely to die from COVID. I wrote the Momnibus to protect those women and to address the maternal health crisis. And that bill was introduced and championed by Senator Kamala Harris. Because she protects the people who are most vulnerable. She's done it for her whole career. As vice president, she and President Biden passed my legislation to make healthcare more affordable. And now 4 out of 5 Americans can get covered through the Affordable Care Act for $10 or less per month. And under the Biden-Harris administration, the number of uninsured Americans hit an all-time low. 4 years ago, it was not safe to hold a convention like this. But tonight, thousands have gathered in this arena in my home state of Illinois to make sure Kamala Harris is the next president of the United States. We have come so far these past 4 years, and we're not going back. Thank you.
My name is Rich Logis. I live in Florida, and until 2 years ago, I was a full-fledged member of MAGA. I believed Trump. I was a MAGA pundit. I had my own podcast. I was in a state of panic, terrified that Democrats were destroying our country. When the pandemic hit, we needed leadership, but we were given almost nothing. It was a major betrayal to the country. So I finally stepped outside the MAGA echo chamber. I stopped listening to what Trump said and looked around with my own eyes. And I realized he had been lying about pretty much everything. Lying is Trump's toxic superpower. He's ripped apart families, communities, our whole country. So this is my message to all the Republicans and independents who are watching. They voted for and believed in Trump. I made a grave mistake, but it's never too late to change your mind. You don't need to agree with everything you hear tonight to do what is right. We need to be able to trust our leaders. That's why I'm all in for Kamala Harris.
Please welcome California Representative Robert Garcia.
Thank you. Thank you. We all remember the world in 2020, where we were, and for some of us, who we lost. Now, I was in my second term as mayor of Long Beach, California. And my mom was a care worker. Like many of you, I watched in terror and horror as the COVID pandemic consumed our lives. As mayor, I fought for more hospital beds, for more tests, and to make masks more accessible. What we needed at that moment was national leadership. But instead, we got Donald Trump. While schools closed and dead bodies filled morgues, Donald Trump downplayed the virus. He told us to inject bleach into our bodies. He peddled conspiracy theories across the country. We lost hundreds of thousands of Americans and our economy collapsed. Now, that summer of 2020, my mom and my stepfather both died of the COVID pandemic. And I miss them every single day. So when Donald Trump and his MAGA extremists like Marjorie Taylor Greene downplay the horror of the pandemic, it should make us all furious. Now, I will never forget when Kamala Harris called me after my parents died. She told me about her own story, about losing her own mother, and that she was praying for me at that very moment. Now, we all know that later that year, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were elected president and vice president. And what a difference they made together. They got people vaccinated. They got the virus under control. They safely reopened our schools. And they passed the American Rescue Plan. A historic economic package that helped small businesses and created jobs all across the country. Thank you, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Now, I am a proud immigrant who came to the United States as a young child. We grew up poor, English, and we often, like many immigrant families, struggled to get by. But my mom, she moved here to the United States because she believed in the American dream. I'll never forget the day that I became a United States citizen. I raised my right hand and I pledged an oath to protect and to love this country. It was the proudest day of my life. My mom taught me to love this country. She taught me that real American patriotism is not about screaming and yelling America first. Real American patriotism is loving your country so much that you want to help the people in your country. That is American patriotism. And we all know that Kamala Harris understands and knows this as well. Kamala Harris is ready to lead this country. We can all remember 2020. We can all remember the horrors of Donald Trump. But let's remember, most importantly, tonight and every single day this week, that we are not going back. Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Ryan from Kamala HQ. We have a little game we like to play here called Two Lies and a Lie. We list out 3 things Donald Trump has said, and then we try to figure out if any one of them is true, which they're not. Let's play. First up, jobs. Trump claims his administration created more jobs than we ever had before. He says we had the greatest economy ever, and then we got hit with COVID, and he says he created a manufacturing job miracle. Let's dig in. More jobs than we ever had before? Trump lost 3 million jobs. In fact, he's the first president to lose jobs since Herbert Hoover. What about this claim that it was the greatest economy ever and only COVID tanked it? Once again, no. Let's take a look at his track record on jobs before COVID as compared to the Biden-Harris administrations. What do you know? Hardly the most successful ever. And about his supposed manufacturing miracle, Trump talked a big game, but actually lost 178,000 manufacturing jobs. And just to be clear, it wasn't just COVID here either. Manufacturing jobs were already on their way down before the pandemic. So that's round one. And it looks like what we have here is 2 lies and another lie. You get the hang of it? I'll see y'all in a little bit.
Donald Trump downplayed COVID while Americans were living in fear. He lied about creating jobs while our communities were fighting to survive. But the Biden-Harris administration stepped up. They actually took decisive action to create jobs, support small businesses, and rebuild a stronger and more resilient economy. Kamala Harris is a leader we trust, even in our most challenging moments, especially in those moments. Donald Trump dithers, Kamala Harris delivers. Donald Trump abandons vulnerable people, Kamala Harris protects them. Donald Trump bullies scientists, Kamala Harris believes them. Our next 2 speakers will tell us why that's so important. Please welcome Brian Wallach and Sandra Abravaya.
In 2008, we met while working on the Obama-Biden campaign. We found our way there because we believe in the power of organizing. Then we found each other. The day we brought second daughter home from the hospital, diagnosed with ALS. I was told I had 6 months to live. That was 7 years ago. We could not change Brian's diagnosis, but we knew how to organize. So we co-founded a nonprofit called I Am ALS. Thousands of terminally ill patients fought for new therapies, $1 billion to fund ALS research, and earlier access to treatments, all of which President Biden signed into law. We will also keep fighting alongside patients living with Parkinson's, young onset dementia, end Alzheimer's. We've seen just how relentless activism can beat the odds, just like what Brian has been doing for 7 years. And that is what we need right now to elect Kamala Harris. She's the daughter of a breast cancer researcher. She knows the promise of science and that patients need to be able to get the care they need wherever they live. We all to make life better for the next generation and believe that people like Brian can be the first generation of survivors. And can make life better for our caregivers too. Brian and I are still driven by hope and by faith, what we can do collectively, and that includes the power of our vote. This November, we are voting for our future. Because we plan to be around for it.
Please welcome Illinois Senator Dick Durbin.
I've known Brian and Sandra for years. In fact, Sandra was my personal press secretary. You will not find a more courageous couple. Let's give Brian and Sandra another round of applause. In every election campaign, we Democrats talk about jobs. Now forget for a moment Donald Trump's wild claims. He lost millions of jobs in America. He promised to bring back manufacturing jobs, but he failed. He promised to deliver infrastructure, but he failed. His record was defined by failure. To put it another way, Donald Trump is like a bad boss. You want time off to take care of your sick parents? Ask Donald Trump. Denied. In Donald Trump's America, there is no paid family leave. Want to have a child, but need IVF? Too bad. That's shut down too. Want a pay raise? Too bad. The boss just gave himself one, so there's nothing left for you. Donald Trump reminds us of a boss we all had. The guy who thinks he's a very stable genius, but is driving the company into the ground. Now get this, Donald Trump did make history. Let's give him credit. He is one of only 2 presidents in the history of the United States to leave office with fewer Americans working than when he started. Now he wants a chance to make America unemployed again. On the other hand, let's take a look at the record of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. They recovered all those millions of jobs that Trump watched slip away. They added over 6 million jobs on top of that. 16 million jobs in total. 16 million. Today, more roads are getting fixed, more factories are being built, more Americans are working construction. Cars on any month. And we know behind every job, is a person or community forever changed. Data centers in Wisconsin, semiconductors in Pennsylvania, electric vehicles in Michigan. Yes. Hello, Michigan. These investments mean strong economy, growing public schools, and well-funded, well-staffed first responders. These investments mean hope. That's what Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are fighting for. They'll fight for the places that are too often left behind, fight to change lives and uplift communities, fight to bring back American manufacturing. My friend, Ed Smith, a giant of the Illinois laborers, he's a great fellow. We lost him this year. But Ed Smith told us there's joy in this battle. When we win, we help people buy their first homes, send their kids to college, and retire with dignity. Incidentally, that happens to be my family's story too. My mom and dad worked for the railroad. Because we were a strong union family, we were able not just to get by, but to get ahead. That's the American economy Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are fighting for. Let's join that fight and build it together. Now let's hear from some union workers on the ground in Arizona, thanks to the Biden-Harris administration investment America.
Welcome to Phoenix. Donald Trump said he'd bring back American manufacturing, but Joe Biden and Kamala Harris actually did it. Thanks to them, plumbers and pipe fitters like us are building the factories, semiconductor plants, and data centers of the future. We are hard at work in Phoenix, Mesa, Goodyear, Chandler, and more. Our neighborhoods, schools, and local businesses are growing. Sometimes we have so many projects that we vacation out to other states. Our union is now up to 4,800 trades members. That's up from 2,800 in 2020, thanks to Joe and Kamala.
And it's an exciting time for us in the next generation. Our apprenticeship program now trains over 1,100 people a year. Every year at local high schools, when they announce what graduated seniors are doing next, more and more of these kids are joining the trades. My son is a senior in high school this year, and he plans to join us. Not just for the great career and the financial security that all us parents want for our kids, but it's because he's excited to work on the cutting edge of innovation. Kamala Harris will keep investing in American manufacturing. With her commitment, there's nothing that us American workers can't build.
Please welcome Ohio Representative Joyce Beatty.
Good evening. I'm Joyce Beatty, and I'm proud to represent Ohio in Congress. I was born in the Buckeye State, and I've never left. Now, J.D. Vance likes to talk about how he's from Ohio, but as soon as he could, he ran away to Yale and Silicon Valley, cozying up with billionaires while trashing our communities. JD has been our senator for 18 months. And what has he done for hardworking Americans? Nothing. He's been busy writing the foreword to the book from the Project 2025 guy. While JD and Donald Trump have been sharing conspiracy theories from the darkest corners of our internet, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have been busy expanding access to the internet, while the other guys have been criticizing women without children. Joe and Kamala have been expanding the child tax credit. And let me just tell you, cutting the poverty rate for our children. Kamala and Joe Biden have been also at the same time reducing the price of health care for our seniors. And yes, securing a cap of $35 on insulin. And as JD and Trump, they want to take us back to the past. Kamala and Joe have been bringing the jobs of the future to America today. With the CHIPS Act, a $280 billion investment. And that's not just a big number. It means new semiconductor plants and thousands of good-paying jobs. You see, I worked with Kamala to pass it, and I saw her leadership style up close, a rare combination of brilliance, legal expertise, and patience. You see, it's simple. JD and Trump like to talk about states like Ohio, but Kamala and Joe actually get stuff done for us. And so does our next vice president and my good friend, Governor Tim Walz. America, are you ready to build on our progress? Are you ready to turn out for leaders who know that action speaks louder than words? Are you ready to vote for Kamala Harris? Are you ready to put people over politics once and for all? Well, the era of joy and freedom is up on us. And now it is on us to go seize it. Thank you. God bless you.
Please welcome AFSCME President Lee Saunders, SEIU President April Barrett, LIUNA General President Brent Booker, IBEW International President Ken Cooper, CWA President Claude Cummings, and AFL-CIO President Liz Schuler.
Union yes, union yes, union yes, union yes. All right. I'm Lee Saunders, president of AFSCME, a union of 1.4 million public service workers in healthcare, corrections, sanitation, and more. 4 years ago, we faced a pandemic and a recession with a president who didn't care one bit what work people were going through. Enter Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Within weeks, they passed the American Rescue Plan, pulling the economy back from the brink and putting us back to work. They're guided by a basic principle: more freedom for working people, including the freedom to join a union. So this November, we're moving forward with Kamala Harris as our president.
workers. We're all in for Kamala Harris because Kamala Harris has always been all in for us. Vice President Harris joined fast food workers on the picket line, and she walked a day in the shoes of a home care worker. She shares our vision for a modern day labor movement, a movement that meets the needs of workers in the 21st century, and an economy that is ready for the future. It is going to be together that we write new rules to make it easier for all workers to join a union. And we are going to build a younger, darker, hipper, fresher, sneaker-wearing labor movement. A movement that is going to be more inclusive and built for the middle class. And we are going to end poverty wage work for once and for all. So let's do the work. Let's elect Kamala Harris so that together we will usher in a new era of worker power, and together we will win the future. Let's go get it.
I'm Brent Booker, and I'm proud to represent LIUNA, the Laborers International Union of North America. We're construction workers, public employees, and postal mail handlers. For decades, we've fought for more investment in our infrastructure. While Trump made empty promises, the Biden-Harris administration delivered. Now we're rebuilding highways, bridges, and tunnels, and powering a clean energy and manufacturing boom. Thanks to them, our members can buy a home, put their kids through school, retire with dignity. As president, Kamala Harris will keep fighting for workers who are building America. Hello, I'm Kenny Cooper, representing 804,000 IBW members, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. The IBW powers America, from fire alarms to solar farms, nuclear plants to battery plants, storm restoration to power lines, and we've been doing it for over 130 years. Today, we're building a new energy future while providing great paying jobs and a stable retirement for all working families. Every step of the way, Kamala Harris has been there for us. She's bringing back American manufacturing to forgotten places throughout our country. She cast the deciding vote to save our pension plans. She's lifted our apprentices up all over the nation. And guess what? She's not afraid to use the word union. She has came through for all of us, and it's our turn to come through for her. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Claude Cummings, Jr., president of CWA, the Communication Workers of America. We all saw the digital divide during the pandemic. Millions of American families didn't have access to high-speed internet at home. Too many kids were forced to go online class in McDonald's parking lots. But as Vice President, Kamala Harris helped pass the largest investment in broadband ever. She gave CWA members a seat at the table so we could work to connect every household to the internet while creating good union jobs. Listen, we don't play at CWA, and we're fired up. Are you fired up? Are you fired up? Are you fired up? We're fired up to work with our next president, Kamala Harris.
I'm Liz Schuler, president of the AFL-CIO. Representing nearly 13 million American workers. This election is about two economic visions. One where families live paycheck to paycheck, where people have no right to join a union. A CEO's dream, but a worker's nightmare. Or an opportunity economy, where we lower the costs of groceries, prescriptions, and housing. Where we go after big pharma, corporate landlords, and price gougers. Where there's no such thing as a man's job or a woman's job, or like Donald Trump would say, a black job. Just a good union job. That's the future our President Joe Biden has fought for. And that's the future Kamala Harris and Tim Walz will keep fighting for. Let's build it together.
Please welcome Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass.
Hello. Hello, Democrats. Hello, Democrats. Are you as excited as I am? I've known Kamala Harris for almost 20 years. Our bond was forged years ago by a shared commitment to children, a belief that it is everyone's responsibility to care for every child, no matter where they come from and no matter who their parents are. Kamala knows that each generation has an obligation to the next. That's why when I was Speaker of the State Assembly and she was a prosecutor, we fought to address youth homelessness and reform the child welfare system. We wanted to make sure that California's foster youth aren't cut off and left on their own the day they turn 18. As Attorney General, Kamala created our state's Bureau of Children's Justice and worked to give children in the juvenile justice system the support they needed. And when I asked her to swear me in, the first woman vice president, swearing in the first woman mayor of Los Angeles, we knew we were sending a message to young girls everywhere that they too can lead. Now, I know Kamala, and she feels the importance of this work in her bones. When Kamala meets a young person, you can feel her passion. You can feel her heart, and you can feel her fearlessness. That is what defines a commitment to children, being willing to fight fiercely for every child. And trust me, Kamala has done that her entire life. So this November, we're going to fight to elect Kamala Harris as the next president of these United States.
Please welcome Grammy-nominated country music star Mickey Guyton.
How y'all doing? With the lines on the interstate, the dust on the back road. We're a Friday night football game. The lighters at a rock show. We're the night shift, smoke free, high school heartache, driving with the windows down. We're the dance floors, church pews, suit and ties, tattoos, one big small town. Ain't we all? Ain't we all? Ain't we all? We all. Ain't we all? The stars in the Texas sky, and the jukebox vinyl. How y'all doing? With the New City lights and a hotel Bible. Hand me down, Taylor Lane, Daisy Dukes, Dookie Briggs, James Brown, James Dean. With cold beer, champagne, millionaires, fast and changing everything in between. Ain't we all? Ain't we all American? Ain't we all? Ain't we all American? We got the same story, the same stripes. Just wanna live that good life. Ain't we all? Ain't we all American? Are y'all trying to be At the end of the day, we're different in a million ways. At the end of the day, ain't we all? Ain't we all American? Ain't we all? Ain't we all American? We got the same stars, the same stripes. Just wanna live that good life. Ain't we all? Ain't we all American? No matter your race, your creed, your color, we're all American. And always remember that. All American. Thank you so much.
As we look ahead to our collective future, it's important to reflect on all the incredible progress that we've made in the last 4 years. The Biden-Harris administration laid the groundwork for a stronger, more resilient nation. They invested in critical infrastructure, delivered relief when disaster struck, and made healthcare more affordable. Kamala Harris cares. And unlike Donald Trump, she has a plan. not just for the next 4 or 8 years, but for generations to come. Now, let's hear from some of my fellow state executives about how Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are investing in the long-term future for our nation.
Okay, go. I'm Pennsylvania's Lieutenant Governor Austin Davis. I'm the proud son of a union bus driver from Pittsburgh. Every day, my dad would come home and tell me about how our roads and bridges were in disrepair. President Trump promised us Infrastructure Week over and over again. He really didn't care, though, and it never happened. But President Biden and Vice President Harris are on our side. They brought together Democrats and Republicans to get it done. We got I-95 in Philly fixed in less than 2 weeks. We repaired the Fern Hollow Bridge in Pittsburgh in record time. Right now, we're repairing roads and bridges across Pennsylvania, including in Pittsburgh, the city of bridges. And Vice President is looking forward. She's committed to keeping our infrastructure safe and modern. When I think about the future, I think about my daughter Harper and all of America's children. Investing in them means investing in our infrastructure. It means replacing millions of lead pipes. It means providing clean air, clean water, safe roads and bridges, not just for us, but for generations to come. That's the legacy that President Biden is leaving our children. Let's keep building bridges to the future with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Let's work.
In Wisconsin, we also need leaders by our side. I'm Wisconsin's Lieutenant Governor, Sarah Rodriguez, but long before I took office, I was a registered nurse. I served in the Peace Corps at the height of HIV/AIDS and in Baltimore emergency rooms at the height of the heroin and gun violence epidemics. During the COVID pandemic, Trump and Wisconsin Republicans failed to protect our health. That's why I ran for office and flipped a red district blue. Because once a nurse, always a nurse. Now Trump is promising to terminate the Affordable Care Act, meddling in personal decisions between a woman and her doctor, and threatening to slash Medicare. Vice President Harris fights for our health. She'll defend women's reproductive freedom and protect Medicare and Medicaid. Thanks to the Biden-Harris administration, insulin is capped at $35 a month for seniors. And they negotiated down the prices of 10 more life-saving drugs like Eliquis and Jardiance for Americans on Medicare. Kamala will continue to take on Big Pharma and lower the cost of prescriptions for everyone. Of course, healthcare isn't just about drugs and treatment. It's about freedom. The freedom to make your own choices and the freedom to get the care you need without worrying about the cost. Kamala Harris is fighting for that healthy future.
Let me tell y'all about Texas leadership. I'm County Executive Lena Hidalgo, and I serve the 5 million residents of Harris County. County includes Houston. Texas Governor Ann Richards said, "I've been tested by fire, and the fire lost." In the years I've been in office, we've dealt with chemical fires. We've dealt with 10 floods, 7 hurricanes, a deadly winter freeze, and of course the pandemic. When that last disaster struck, Donald Trump abandoned us. He spread misinformation that cost lives. Compare that to 2021, when the Texas power grid went dark. Kamala Harris didn't just... Over the years, I've learned that Kamala Harris always calls. And not only does she call, she delivers. The very week she launched her campaign, she was down in Texas with vital FEMA assistance right after Hurricane Beryl. Kamala Harris cares. She will never risk lives for the sake of politics. And she's leading the charge to protect our communities from extreme weather. The Biden-Harris administration have announced at least $1 billion to help us with just that. And Houston is thriving. We deserve leaders who acknowledge the threats, heck, the existence of climate change. We deserve tough leaders who have our backs. We deserve compassionate leaders ready to help. That's Kamala Harris and Tim Walz.
I can personally attest that Kamala is a leader who has our back. I'm California's Lieutenant Governor Eleni Kounalakis, but I hold another title just as dear to me, Kamala Harris's friend. I met her when we were both young women trying to navigate the halls of power. Women. Women trying to navigate the halls of power. I worked in housing. She had just been a district attorney. We got frequent lunches together, and she was funny and fun. She was also a great mentor. Once, I told her about a professional experience of being minimized because I was a woman. She put her fork down and said, "Eleni, never let anybody make you feel small." Saw her put that creed into action. When Wall Street foreclosed on millions of homes, Washington's system was that $4 billion, the best you could do. Other attorneys general agreed. But because Kamala Harris grew up in a middle-class home, she knew that wasn't enough for all the working families who got screwed over. So she put her foot down and refused to settle for less. Kamala Harris won $20 billion from the big banks for California homeowners. And that's because she cares. She cares so much that if you're lucky enough to be her friend, she calls you on her birthday, and sometimes she sings to you. She called me on mine right when I had decided to run for lieutenant governor. She asked tough questions. I promised I'd follow her lead, and in the future, together, we shattered that glass ceiling, California, and got to work. I am so glad the country
country is getting to see the Kamala that I've known for decades. For Californians and Pennsylvanians, for Texans and Wisconsinites, for states red and blue and everything in between, President Biden and Vice President Harris have been investing in our future and are on our side, and we are not going back.
Do you know about Project 2025?
The far right's playbook.
It is Trump's vision for America's future.
I'm not going to be nice.
It will ban abortion nationwide.
I got rid of Roe v. Wade.
Raise taxes on middle-class families. Gut Medicaid.
That's money that funds a lot of medical treatment.
Strip rights from LGBTQ plus people.
Wait a minute, I'm not finished.
Cut overtime pay.
It is going to affect workers' bottom lines.
Give them unchecked power.
And I will wield that power very aggressively.
And it begins his first day back in office.
In an exclusive undercover video, a co-author of Project 2025 saying that Donald Trump, quote, blessed the work he's doing now.
He's been on our organization. He's raised money for our organization. He's blessed it. So he's very supportive of what we do.
He doesn't want freedom. He only wants control.
I know Donald Trump's type.
These are stakes.
Project 2025 wants to take our country backward.
This is our fight.
We are not going back.
Please welcome Michigan State Senator